All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And I currently don't know the whereabouts of my co-host and producer, Mr. Mikey Famine. However, I do have a guest for tonight, and that is Mr. Mike Brigandi. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, yeah.
All right, I nailed it first time. Woo!
Yeah.
But anyways, I discovered Mike on TikTok, and I was just doing, the For You shit and flipping through, and all of a sudden I saw one of his live things up, and he's talking about evidence for God and all that, and I was like, oh, let's watch this for a bit. And I gotta tell you, man, a lot of the times I stop on these sorts of things, and it's the people that you seem to attract to chat with you will say, I pull my hair out. It's like these guys just have no clue. But anyway, tell us, I guess, a little bit before we get into the deconversion. Tell us a little bit about the TikTok channel you have and your YouTube channel as well. What are the kinds of things that you talk about there?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. I basically have a YouTube and a TikTok. I focus on really science. I mean, my passion's in science, so I talk
Hold on a
about
second,
that.
man. You're kind of staticky right now, the microphone wise. So maybe jiggle it or something, or I'm not sure why it's doing that.
It's better
Yeah,
now.
see how that works.
Okay.
Well, we're still getting it. This is weird because it wasn't doing that until we started going live. So I'm not entirely sure why that's happening.
How about now? Still?
Yeah, it's still doing it. Interesting. Everything was fine before we went live, guys, by the way. There was no static at all. So I don't know if it's something a
Let
StreamYard
me
thing, or I'm not sure.
let me take it off and see if it works.
Okay.
Does it work?
Well, yeah, we can hear you, and there's no static for sure.
Okay. Well,
Oh, no, we're
yes,
still getting static. That's weird. And I can hear the echo when I talk, which is kind of one of the things we try to avoid, definitely, because that can be quite annoying.
yeah,
Well,
unfortunate. Huh.
yeah, we'll do that. We'll blame Mikey Famine for that one.
Still
Right on in.
staticky.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? We'll power through it. Maybe it'll go away. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it's better than without the headphones, I think. So anyway.
Okay. Well, like I was saying before, yeah, so my passion's in science. So I talk mostly about those things like philosophy, science, religion. God comes up only because 90% of people around us believe in God, right? So I want to really dig deep into those people that really believe that stuff. But if I could, I wish I could focus on science mostly and talk about science. But of course, it's hard to do that when most people don't agree with that. But yeah, I want my whole point of my social media presence is to make people think more about their beliefs. Right? Try to challenge their beliefs because that's what really helped me, and I think that's what makes the world a better place when we really actually challenge our own ideas and stop being scared of reality. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it a little bit there about being scared of reality. I mean, let's face it, reality can be scary. Look what's going on over in the Ukraine right now, and the psychopath Putin that could just press the button at any time with some tactical nukes, and then that's it. It's all over. But yeah, I think maybe try putting the headphones back in. Or here's an idea, actually. What we usually do is we get people to sort of jump out and then jump back in. And a lot of times that fixes the problem. So
Okay.
try doing that, like jump out and then jump back in, and we'll see how that works.
All right. Let me try.
All right. Well, hey guys, it's just me for the moment. Mike's going to jump out and jump back in, and a lot of times that can fix the problem, but I'm not entirely sure why that suddenly went all weird because we were perfectly fine before we went live, which was bizarre to me. And I got word from Canadian Ollieman tonight. He's not going to be around to do his triple stoner IQ or whatever the hell he likes to do because he's playing cards over at a buddy's place tonight. So, all right, let's try her again. All right.
Does it work? Does it work?
Yeah. Now we are static free.
Technology.
Perfect. Indeed. Yeah, I don't know why that happened, but sometimes it does. And usually this is like, did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in kind of thing? So you got to working now. All right. So now I'd like for us to chat, I guess, about how you sort of started doing exactly what you're talking about on your TikTok channel, about critical thinking and questioning things, and how that sort of led you out of your former religion, whatever that may have been.
Yeah, so I grew up as a Christian, really. My parents were Roman Catholic. We went to church quite often. I was baptized, I got my communion, I got, confirmed. But I really kind of loosely had those ideas in the back of my head throughout my entire life. My parents were pretty liberal, thankfully, about these things. They didn't really force it on me, but they did expect me to believe it, right? So
sure,
I kind of went along life thinking that these ideas about Adam and Eve and Noah's Ark, these are all kind of true things, that there is a God, that Jesus is God. And I kind of went along life thinking this. But I also developed an interest in science. I grew up watching the Science Channel, Discovery Channel, Brian Greene, Michio Kaku, Neil Tyson. So those guys kind of really captivated me. And so it's not like I had these two conflicting ideas about science and religion. I kind of just went along with it, kind of just believed that science was factual and that Christianity was factual. They kind of melted together in some way. I just didn't understand it.
Sure.
So that's how I really saw it. So until about when I was 19, 20, when I started working at this job, and my coworkers, one of them was religious. So we would be like talking all the time about science, about evolution, and about these things. And we began to really good discussions. And then one day he brought up the idea that, Mike, do you believe in Adam and Eve, or do you believe in evolution? Right? Because I was trying to teach him about evolution and how that we are apes and that we are, we evolved. And he just didn't buy it. So I was trying to explain to him. He was like, Mike, do you believe that Adam and Eve is true, or that we evolved? And I said, well, both. They're both true, right? And he was like, no, Mike, it's either one or the other. Right? So in my head, I was trying to justify them both.
How's it
being
that
true.
he was right about that?
Yeah. So you can kind of see the contrast between his thinking and my thinking. He was set on the idea of Christianity, and I was kind of in between. All right. So I was like, okay, I didn't really have an answer for him at that moment. Right. That day, I was like, well, you got a point. It's either one or the other, really. I went home. I started learning. I started diving deeper into the research, learning about evolution and biology and things. I didn't become an atheist overnight, but it took me maybe weeks really to really call myself an atheist after I realized that, everything behind the Bible is utter nonsense. There's, Adam and Eve, there's no truth to it at all. Even if you took it metaphorically, as a lot of Christians love to say, there's no truth there at all when it comes to that. There were no first people. Evolution debunks that entire notion. So, it took me weeks to really call myself an atheist, and it was scary. It was uncomfortable for me at first. I was, I felt bad. I felt like I was, that Satan was trying to get me. I still had that in the back of my mind, this fear of hell. And even years after, I still had the fear of hell. Years after that.
How long do you figure it took for you to lose that?
About maybe 3 years after that to really shed my fear entirely. So I became an atheist about 6 years ago. And it took me about 3 years after that to really, about 2018, 2019, really, for me to really, But now I have no fear of hell anymore. I see the world in a different way because of that one question. And that's the entire point here. It's really one question that really can change the trajectory of your entire thinking. And that's why I do what I do today, because it could be that one question. Maybe that person in the live that isn't up there talking to me, maybe he doesn't see it now, but maybe he'll remember. He'll look back and go, "Wow, that guy Mike on TikTok, he had a point there." Right? That one question might influence an entire person's new trajectory for their thinking. So that's why I do what I do.
Tons of says he has a fear of hell if you're the one let me in. Well, I wouldn't let you in, Mice, so there you go. How's your family take it now? That, like, do they know that you're now a non-believer, or have you kind of kept that from them?
Yeah, they pretty much know that I don't believe. Again, they're thankfully they're very liberal about it. They don't really seem to really, they don't tell me that you're going to go to hell. You should have stopped. You should start believing now. Like, they don't really sell that to me.
Right.
But I haven't really talked to them that much about it either. It's not like I have discussions with them every day about this. I don't. But yeah, they've been very good about it, and I'm thankful for that. So, and it's really people on lives, like through TikTok, I've learned that a lot of people do have these terrible stories of indoctrination where they were kicked out of their homes for being an atheist. Yeah. They were castrated from their homes or whatever, their society or their neighborhood or their school.
Oh yeah.
So
I've had many guests on like that.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm doing it for those people, right? People that are that don't have the courage to speak up about it. And I get DMs all the time from people saying, "Hey, Mike, you're helping me out. I'm a Muslim, or I was a Muslim. I don't feel like comfortable speaking up, but you really helped me." So that's another important thing for me, right? Helping people. So
yeah,
that's what TikTok allows us to do, and social media, right? That's what your podcast allows us to do. The more we converse, the more we talk about these things, the better it is for everybody, right? Because in our entire lives, we've been taught that, oh, you can't question religion. And that was the entire con of religion. The fact that they try to silence it, they try to make it like this bubble is formed around their paradigm that we all have to just keep quiet about. And that's that's the saddest part, because that keeps them in there. You feel uncomfortable. You feel like it's bad to leave it, or it's bad to question it. And that's really what subliminally, that's really what I was dealing with. I was dealing with this idea in the back of my head that I can't escape it. I can't question it. If I do, you're just a bad person for doing that. That is that's the worst part of religion. And if I can just help more people, just not even become an atheist, but just think more critically about their beliefs, then we all win.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And you're right. It's like they are in their own little bubble, where they have these sets of rules that they tell you shouldn't do things, like you shouldn't question. They don't, you always see church signs and stuff even on the road. Reason is the road to the devil, or whatever, right? Which is just ridiculous. But at least you and I probably think that. But a lot of people buy that stuff up. So, well, my producer is here. He's in the chat now, and he says it's his wife's fault. So we won't dig into that one, Mikey. Here he is. All right. Yeah, he's gonna do all the fixer-upper stuff there. There we go.
I'm dragging her down with me.
Oh, there we go. So, Mike, this is Mikey.
Hey, Mikey, how are you, man?
What's up, Mike?
I don't know how much of this you've actually heard already, Mikey, but pretty much gone through your deconversion. Is there anything, Mike, that you would that you want to let folks know, like any difficulties that you kind of went through that you might be able to make easier for some people that are going through this?
Well, really, the easiest way to make it easier, there's nothing, like when I go on TikTok Live, there's nothing I can say that's going to make it easier for people, right? I'm not going to appease everybody. I can't. Some things are just, they have to be uncomfortable in order for you to change. So there's nothing I can say on TikTok that's going to make everybody happy and make everybody an atheist. That's never going to happen. But the one thing I will say is that it's not what you think, but it's how you think, right? So in society today, we're given a lot of information, right? We have all the information ever to have existed in the palm of our hands, on our phones, and our computers. So we have a lot of information, a lot of intake of information. But it's not what the information is that's most important. It's how you use it, how you analyze it. So that's what science teaches. That's what science is all about. It's about actually interrogating what the information is and testing it and falsifying it.
Right.
So if you can teach that to somebody, not what to think, but how to think, then the rest becomes easier. It was relatively easy for me to become an atheist and become a vegan, by the way, because of my secular thinking, because of my understanding of science and what it means to falsify things, what it means to be true. What something is, what it means to be true, that is more important than what is the truth. So that is the biggest thing. The biggest thing here is how you think. And so to solve that, learn some science, understand what science is. Science is not just a bunch of facts to be known. It's not just a body of knowledge. Science is a way of poking the universe, seeing what happens when you poke it, interrogating things, actually skeptically interrogating things with an open mind, and letting go of all those ideas that we have in our head, let them go for the moment and just look at reality head on. And that's what science is all about.
Sure.
So secularity is science should be the foundation of secularity. Science should be the foundation of our thinking, because it's the best we have. Science is the best, like it or not, it's the best we have. And it gets us.
It's the best method that we have, for sure.
Exactly. It's the best we have. Until there's something better, and religion is not better. Philosophy is not better. There's nothing
philosophy
better
is useful. It is, even in science, philosophy can be useful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a chemist. That's what I do. So
Cool.
Definitely one of the foundations of science, for sure, is chemistry, of course, and quantum physics, and just quantum stuff in general, because that's the underneath of all the chemistry stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, we often though come up against people that are saying, well, how do you trust science? How do you know that people are using science for actual benefit and not trying to come up with something that sounds really sciencey, and then they also will harsh out on peer review, because you can't trust peer review. I said, well, yeah, you can. That's actually the way we keep bias out of science, is using peer review. Oh, but anyone can sure, they get through once in a while. People can buy their way in, but those usually always get discovered and ousted as soon as they're figured out, right? So it's the best method we have to keep the bias out of scientific methods. And you often run up against people that are just dead set against believing anything that science has to give, because they've had experiences that were negative, either medically or scientifically or whatever, right? So how do you deal with people like that?
Yeah. So first of all, yeah, exactly. Science is all about peer review and actually trying to minimize the amount of bias we have, because let's face it, we all have bias about things. Yeah. But science tries to minimize it through peer review, through testability. So when people are skeptical about science, it's like, good. That's the good part. You can be skeptical. You should be skeptical about science.
You should be. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you are, then go do it. If you don't trust the scientist or the science that shows and demonstrates evolution, then go do it for yourself. Go look at DNA. Go understand DNA. Go do it. That's the only way you're going to actually figure out what's true or not, by actually doing it yourself and poking the universe. And now, when it comes to religion, I can put onto religious people. I can say, well, how do you know your religion is true? Well, we just trust the Bible, right? So it's like they're trying to solve something by saying God done did it, but it actually doesn't solve anything, right? The best we know of, the best thing we have is to go do it. Science is about doing things, right? And to talk about philosophy, yeah, philosophy is fantastic, but philosophy is really only about asking questions about the world, right? It's not really about answering those questions. Because I can sit here and philosophically argue for a flat Earth all day long, and it can make valid logic sense. But a flat Earth is not really, it's not really true, right? So
Right.
science is about actually falsifying what's really happening in the real world. Philosophy can act as a foundation or a framework for epistemology, but which is important in science for sure. But philosophy itself is not going to answer the questions that we have, and neither is religion, right? So if you're skeptical about science, good, go continue being skeptical, but go and do it. Go do the science, and you'll understand it more. That's all you can do.
And it's funny, like I like the way that you said it, like everyone has like bottomless information in like the palm of your hand. Like those tools are supposed to be used to like make us better. But instead people just take the tools that we're supposed to learn and build, but they use but through religion they just sharpen them. They're like, now how do I attack as many people with my tools as possible? It's like, no, this is for building. You're supposed to be like making a spaceship with it, and you're just like, and then I will control the women. It's like, stop with your tools. You're wasting your damn tools. Like, use your tools for something productive.
Yes, but the thing is, they think they're doing something productive by believing in information that makes them feel good. Right. That's what the mistakes they're making. The mistake they're making is they're hanging on to information that makes them feel better about things, about their preconceived notions of reality. That's the problem there. So that's what I try to eliminate in my thinking. I try to say, no, I don't care what feels good. Like I tell people all the time on TikTok, when you die, as far as we can see, your body rots away. Oh, that's scary. Okay, well, it's reality. Get used to it. So when people say, well, what happens when you die? Where do you go? I tell them the truth, because that's the truth. That's the truth as much as we know it, is that when you die, your body rots. So what the religious people are doing is they're looking around the information. They're saying, well, how about the ghosts, and how about the spirits, and how about the people? How about the people who saw God, right?
I believed in ghosts once. So
there's nothing wrong with that, and there might be ghosts, whatever that is. But what even is a ghost, right? They're missing the harder questions. What is a God? What's a ghost? What's spirits? If you can define it, then give evidence for it, then I'll believe you, right? Yeah. But until that day, I'm just going to take your information as nonsense.
Even just defining it and then investigating the definition, right? You can use some sort of way to investigate what they're defining it as. Like, oh, well, a spirit is your leftover energy. Well, okay, let's look into that. There is no leftover energy, so, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, they use that all the time. And another thing is that they try to use the science to manipulate. They try to twist the science to try to manipulate people's emotions as well. They say, well, what happens when you die? Your energy just goes away? No, it doesn't go away. It goes into the universe. It goes right into the universe. It doesn't die. The energy doesn't die or evaporate. It goes back into the universe.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson said it best. He goes, your energy now becomes food energy for the fauna and flora that you fed off of during your lifetime.
Yeah, that was about us. That was about us video. But yeah, it's really simple. Just think about what you believe and why you believe and how you know it's true. And if you have those three things, it's inevitable that you're going to at least be skeptical of the world, if not atheist or secular.
Sure, absolutely. I've seen a funny meme one time that says, question everything, and then right underneath it says, why?
Why? Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's good. I like that. But even that is fine. That's fine too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, sure, maybe it doesn't matter what the answer to reality is. Maybe there is no answer, but while I'm alive, right? We only have a measly 75 years on this planet, right? I don't want to just believe in nonsense. I want to know what's actually out there. I want to travel the universe. I want to go to other galaxies. I want to explore things.
That'd be cool.
I don't just want to pretend that there's a magic man that's going to come and save me. That's nonsense. I don't want to waste my time doing that. I want to actually figure out what's real, and I want to solve problems. I want to fix climate change. I want to fix things in the world. I want to have equality. And that, if you care about the truth, but if you care about progression of our species, then you're going to care about science and facts.
Yeah.
To me, I look around and I see a lot of problems. This is really the motivator behind what I do. I look around and I see a lot of people, a lot of problems, climate change and inequality and war and famine. And I ask myself, well, how can we solve, what can I do to make this place a better place before I die? And the best thing I can see is make people think about what that is, what the problems are. Because if people can't even see the problems, how are we going to fix them? This is what Carl Sagan says all the time, right? Before he died. Carl Sagan was one of my idols. But
me too, man.
If we don't understand the problems that we have around us, we're not going to be able to solve them, and our species will go extinct. It's happened before. So,
many times.
And it's unfortunate that like everybody's not rowing in the same direction, because half of the people rowing are like, it's fine. You'll get more stuff in heaven anyway. Don't even worry about right now. This is just temporary until you go to your space mansion in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a degree in geoscience. So I know a lot about climate change, and I've been on many debates about this on YouTube and Twitter. Oh my God, it's crazy. But people all the time tell me, well, God is in control of the climate. God's going to take care of it.
Right.
No,
sucks at it.
That thinking is going to make us extinct. If you think that there's somebody that's going to take care of everything for you, then we're never going to get anything done. We're never going to solve anything that comes our way in the future. So I think it's better that we don't think there's somebody saving us, and we think it's our responsibility entirely, because that's going to make the world a better place.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of issues that we definitely have to deal with here. And people that say, oh, well, yeah, but you can't prove that we had a hand in it. Yeah, actually, there's a ton of data that says that we have had a hand in the increase of a natural, progression of, or not progression, but just natural cycle of our planet's climate. And we have amplified that because of industry and whatnot, right? So
there are natural reasons for climate change. There's the Milankovitch cycles, which take about 40,000 years, but that's not what we're doing now. We're causing the same amount of change as the Milankovitch cycles, as nature does, in about 100 years as it takes nature 40,000 years to do. So we're expediting the process by adding more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. It's basic science, right? You add more CO2, which traps heat from the sun, and it collects in the atmosphere, and it makes methane and nitrous oxide and all the other greenhouse gases. But that's the point here, and people don't understand that carbon dioxide is a blanket for the atmosphere. It's what keeps us warm, and the more you add, the more warmer it's going to become. And people don't. The saddest part is that people don't comprehend. A lot of people, unfortunately, do not comprehend the big ideas. They for some reason they think they can't contemplate these ideas because they're too complex for them.
I was just going to say, it's really tough for some folks, like the average layman will say, right?
Yeah. So, and that's totally fine. A lot of things are complex for me too, but the point is, if I can make complex ideas simpler for people to, if I can get the big ideas out there. If you look at my TikTok, it says my bio, big ideas. Right? It says atheist, vegan, big ideas, because that's what I'm trying to do, trying to get the big ideas out there. You don't have to know every single detail about climate change, but as long as you understand that it's happening and that's human caused, then we can actually solve the problem. So the big ideas are important for me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The denial is really hard to fight against today, because you get a lot. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of fucking money that are keeping this thing going by spreading actual misinformation about how things work, right? To try and sucker in all the people that keep lining their pockets with all that cash about the reality of how this planet is going. And that's really hard to go up against, because I'm not a billionaire. You're not a billionaire. He's not a billionaire. So we don't really have the kind of cash that it takes to actually get out there and change minds, on a big enough platform where people might actually listen to us. And unfortunately, the people with the money that don't want their money to stop coming in do have the mega platforms that they can talk to people with, and convince them that, oh, don't worry about it, we're doing okay, we'll just watch a little bit closer. And it's like, no, dude, we're not doing okay. Like, you have no idea that we're not doing okay. I could list a whole bunch of shit off, and they'll just sweep it off to the side like it's no big deal, right? Like the acidity of the oceans, and there's so much I could say, right?
Yeah,
it's tough.
The problems, they're so large that people don't see it on a day-to-day basis, right? They think it's just weather, right? But they don't understand that there's 30-year trends. There are larger scale trends that transcend day-to-day understandings of weather. So these are, again, the big idea is important there. So the same with evolution, right? When I talk about evolution to theists, well, they'll say, well, how do you think that you think we evolved? That's impossible. It takes, and they don't understand that it takes a long time. It's a long time for species to evolve, but it takes generations after generation. It doesn't happen on a day-to-day basis. So
we're evolving right now, even as we speak.
But people think that it's like this, Pokemon type evolution where it's like Charmander and Charizard. That's not how it works, right? So that's why I focus on science on my channels, in my YouTube, and my channel. Yes, unfortunately, God comes up. Unfortunately, theism comes up, philosophy. But I wish I could eliminate all that and focus on the good, juicy stuff. But fortunately, we live in a world of great misinformation, and I want to do as much as I can to fix that while I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And just wanting to get people to think better is one of the main ways of doing that. And also, I do what I do because we have conversations just like we're having now that might trigger something with someone. And also, it's to help people, to let them know that there are others out here that are thinking what you're thinking, and are deconstructing and having these processes going on. And that it's, I've got well over 400, I think I'm over 430 something interviews now with folks that have left some kind of belief system, right down to, I've even interviewed a gal that was a guru in the world of woo, right? In pseudoscientific crystal healing bullshit, right? And so I've had even people like that, and people from Scientology. All of this stuff is what makes it harder for us to get these messages out, is all these stupid ass belief systems that people, for whatever reason, although I think there's some genetics involved here, there's a DNA sort of shit involved here, that they want to cling on to these things because, like you mentioned earlier, it makes them feel better, right? So and don't fear questioning this stuff just because it makes you feel better.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of hate. People, when they are,
that comes from their books.
Yeah, but it also comes from people. I mean, let's face it, a lot of us have biases, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I left out. Okay.
No, you're good.
So people can be hateful towards ideas that they don't understand. Now, this takes me back to when I became an atheist. Before I became an atheist, I used to watch Neil Tyson. I love Neil Tyson. But when I stumbled across some videos where he was speaking up against Christianity, I felt bad. I disliked it. And I had a grudge. I had a little grudge against Neil Tyson because he spoke out against Christianity. So thinking back, this is crazy. I did feel hatred towards people that didn't like my ideas. They didn't like Christianity. I felt bad. I felt fearful. And this is something that religion teaches. Like you said, religion does teach this. Yes, but it can be a powerful thing if this ties into the point here. If you're not willing to challenge your own ideas, which science teaches, you're going to have a hard time changing, because even after I listened to Neil Tyson, it didn't matter how much he talked about Christianity, how wrong it was, I wasn't listening. It was
Right.
invisible to me because for some reason my hatred and my fear was overpowering my intellect. So
That's common.
yeah, this is what. So when I get hate on TikTok and when I get hate on YouTube, I get a lot of hate. Trust me, and I'm sure you do too.
Sometimes, yeah.
People insult me all the time. They say, "Oh, you're just an atheist. You're stupid," and
You have no morals.
I can't, as much as I don't like it, I understand where they're coming from, and I want to make that an easier process for them, and that's what I learned from my journey becoming more secular and even becoming a vegan, because I still get hate from non-vegans about being a vegan. So
Really?
and they all tie, yeah, they all tie together. It's like this interesting thing for me because they all ties together. Veganism and atheism have a lot to do with each other because it takes courage and intellect at the same time to change your ideas about the world. So yeah,
certainly does. I'm not a vegan, but I never would ever chastise somebody for wanting to be one, because if that's a way they want to help make a difference, then that's great, right? I think that's good. And I'll be honest, I've been to in support of my friends that are vegans. I've been to quite a few vegan actual restaurants and stuff like that, and the food is phenomenal. Like you wouldn't even know. Like it's just great.
yeah.
So, I could see it's possible I could go that route at some time, but there's just some things I don't know. I'm just not willing to give up, I guess, is what it is. Honestly, and it's not so much meat; it's more the fish stuff that I love, right? So the seafood stuff, right?
I miss seafood. I mean, I do, but to me, the animals are more important than taste or anything like that. But again, everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Sure.
But all I was trying to say was that there are connections between those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Sure, I would agree with that for sure. So let me ask you this: we're getting fairly close to the top of the hour here. So first of all, I always do an after party. Now you're not obligated to join it, but I always suggest that folks come in and just meet a few other folks and say hi and hang around for 15 minutes or so. Because I know you're in Florida and you're quite a few hours ahead, so it's going to start getting late for you there. Are you up for hanging out for a little bit longer after we complete this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
I got time.
But what I would like to ask maybe is if you could, this is one of the questions Mike and I often ask, if you could go back in time to when you were still a believer, what kind of advice would you give to yourself, from the future kind of thing to your past self? Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah, it is. The biggest regret is that I didn't become an atheist sooner. But if I can talk to myself before I became an atheist, I would say it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're not a bad person for being an atheist. You're not going to be a bad person. That's the biggest thing. It's really, really emotional for people to change. So, and people take it personally. People take religion so personally. So what I would tell him is, hey, don't take it personal. It's okay. I think that little, I know it seems small, but it could have a big impact on somebody if you just told them it's okay to not believe. So
I agree. Yeah. So who are some of the, on your journey to becoming an atheist? I know you said you did a lot of study in the world of science and stuff like that, but was there anything else that kind of helped you along the road? Like, were there any particular, I don't know if you were into the YouTube stuff at all and you stumbled across maybe an episode of The Thinking Atheist or Arn Ra or something like that. Like, did any of that sort of stuff have any impact on you?
Yeah, for sure. Matt Delahunty, Atheist Experience, Aaron Ra, Dark Matter 2525. on YouTube.
John. Yeah.
Thunderfoot, I forgot. A lot of yeah. Oh, what's his name? The Atheist something. I forgot. But yeah, so not only those people, but also people in science. Really, the biggest impact on me are people that are scientists and physicists, like Neil Tyson, Brian Greene, Michio Kaku, and Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan.
Sean Carroll, yeah. Those people really set the foundation for me in my thinking. They changed the way I saw the world. And I was even watching the Science Channel when I was 10 years old. I was mesmerized by the TV, by what they were saying. So, but there was never a moment before I became an atheist where it's like, oh, this one argument is going to make me an atheist. That's not what happened. It was weird for me. So for me, it was different because it was a slow progression until the moment where it changed. The one question that changed it. It wasn't an argument. It wasn't like, oh, well, God's not all powerful. Can you lift a rock that's too heavy for him to lift? It's not like that didn't happen to me. That didn't happen to me. It was a very different thing, which I'm glad it happened that way. I just wish it would have happened sooner. It should have. I was just so blinded by fear and hate for the opposing side. And in fact, I didn't even know any atheists until I became an atheist. I didn't really talk to any in person. I mean, if you would have told me about an atheist, I'd be like, oh, well, they're just weird. They're just weird people. So it's kind of strange, even like 10 years ago, that we've had this culture where it's taboo to be an atheist or weird. And even some today, but it's getting better. A lot more people are becoming atheists. We are winning. Secularity is winning, and that's a good thing. So I have good hopes for the future, but it should have happened sooner. I think we could be doing things a lot more faster.
Yeah. Well, there is that argument that's out there that says, if religion wasn't really that big of a thing in human history, how much further along scientifically would we be today? We might have those flying cars, that kind of thing, right? So
you mean if we didn't inquisitor all of the scientists?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, something like that. But you often hear people say stuff like that, right? And I think, well, it's not. I think there's a lot of evidence that points to religious belief or a belief like that. When we don't have answers, we come up with them in our heads and we make shit up just to satiate our lack of knowledge at the time. And I think that's just inherent in us because, we need to put those questions aside because they might deter us from actual survival, right? So if we say, oh shit, lightning, that's got to be some angry entity out there that's pissed off at us, so he's throwing down lightning and it's causing fires and yada yada. And I think we did that. That's actually it was more of a survival mechanism for our species early on, and people got wise to the fact that it's a great tool to use for the masses to control them, sort of thing, or keep control over them, what they believe, what they think, how they act, so that they are doing things that are beneficial to the ones that are on the top of that pyramid of religion that are controlling the other people. It keeps them wealthy. It keeps them in power, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point because we did evolve to believe in something more, not necessarily God, but the idea of God evolved with our thinking.
Oh yeah.
As soon as we developed agriculture, we had this sense of that we were more superior or above the land, above the plants.
Yeah.
That we can control them. So therefore, there might be something controlling us, and that's God, right? And there's a God for the rain, a God for the wind, a God for the thunder. So we kind of we had God was a placeholder for things we didn't understand, for the mystery of the
Yes.
world, and it felt comfortable for us to believe on these things because it was comfortable. It felt good to believe that there's somebody controlling it, and that's how God got here. But the point is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we also, during those times, now we had the time to sit around fires and stuff and tell stories too. And of course, these stories evolved into what we could also say became modern day type religions and stuff. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why God was invented. But the point I was going to say was there's people that just want to feel comfortable. People don't care about, some people just don't care about the mysteries of the universe. They feel frightened by it. So unfortunately, there are going to be people, religion, although I don't like it, will always have a place in human, as long as we're human to some degree.
Yeah.
Because even Marvel is like today's modern day religion, I would say.
Yeah.
People go there.
I'm on board with that one.
People go there, they watch the movies, they dress up as their favorite characters, they think, and for those 2 hours they're in the movie theater, they feel like it's real. They feel like they're emotional, it's personal for them. So religion has a deep, profound presence in the human minds, but not God. God, the idea of God is fictitious, just like everything else. But I had a point, but I forgot it.
Happens to me all the time. I just blame it on getting old. That's what I do.
I just blame mine on Neil. It's easier.
My iPad is about to die in battery.
Uh-oh.
Got 2%.
I might have, that's not good.
I can plug it in, maybe.
Yeah, you can do that, sure.
But
I would do that.
I would have to take my headphones out.
That's all right. Well, what we can do here, I think we can wrap this one up here and then just jump into an after party and give you a few minutes to charge it, get a charger plugged in and whatnot, and then we'll invite a few folks in and we can have some more conversation for a little while. And you can stay for as long as you want and then just piss off whenever you want, kind of thing. But before your thing dies there, I just want to thank you for joining us today for today's show. It was great having you on. A big fan of your work on TikTok, by the way. So you'll see me from time to time. I'll start speaking up and stuff because usually I just have it going on in the background when I'm at work in the lab or something like that, right? So,
awesome.
I will. I'll definitely say hi, and if I have the opportunity or a chance in you're chatting with folks, I might say, hey, let me in there, and then we can both attack people. Kind of thing. might
Tag me in.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on here. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I always hope that people have a good time here, and as long as what we're doing here helps somebody, it's worth it just for that, right? So, thanks everyone in the chat. I hope you guys had a good time with us tonight. It's a little bit shorter one of an episode, but we are going to get into an after party. If you're interested in joining us and saying hi to Mike here, then just let us know. We'll get you a link and we'll jump in here with us. Thank you to all my wonderful patrons. I couldn't do this without you guys, so thank you for all you do for the show. And thanks for finally showing up, Mikey. And until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of the interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time. Link to the after party in the description box below, by the way.
Bye.
What's untangled?